Thank you guys all for joining this evening in our high performance training call or training tonight. Tonight we are going to talk about basically turning what you already know into the results you deserve. What does that mean? That means, a lot of times we're always searching for the next best thing, or we're always jumping into tool or strategy or drill, trying to find like the one thing that's going to click. And we're kind of always going just in circles, and sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. So we'll go over a little frame to help you get through that. And, before you start searching for all these other things, you always want to put into play like the things that you already know and the things that you should be doing. This is definitely for you if you're playing a lot of golf and your results are inconsistent, you're putting the time in and you're practicing a lot. If you're the person like what we just talked about earlier, if you're the person jumping from, I'm trying one drill today or one strategy today, and then tomorrow or next week we're doing something totally different because what we had today, didn't get us the results that we wanted. Or, maybe this is just for you if you're just a person or the player that just says, like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I just am not getting the results with the thing that I know I'm supposed to do. And you continue to work on that tool or strategy or drill, and you've been working on it for a long time, and you're just not getting exactly the result that you want. And at the end of the day, what we really want is to achieve the results that we want. So, excuse me, as we go over all of this, this is an area I definitely spend most of my junior career and, college golf career, all of it basically, like in this world of what is the next best thing I can do, or what can I work on right now to get me the results that I want today? And if it didn't work, I'm going to go seek another drill or another advice from somebody else, whether it's a player, a coach, but anybody better than me. And kind of throughout my whole junior and college career and just playing competitively, that's kind of where I circled. And, I always felt before I wanted so much more than what I achieved. And I didn't feel at all that I didn't put in the work. I felt like I put in tons of work. I always felt like I outworked most of my peers that I play with. And if I didn't outwork them, I at least put in very, very similar work ethics as them. And if you play golf long enough, you'll find that advice in golf comes free and it comes easy. And it's super easy to be working on something and you're so disciplined in something that you've been working on for so long, whether it's from another player, a mentor, a coach of yours that's telling you work on this, and you're working on it, and you get a friend or another good player, another coach come in just, while you're practicing on the range, or if you go play with somebody on the golf course and say, oh, I notice you're doing this, you're going to go ahead and why don't you try this to fix this, right? Or if your contact's a little thin, oh, you're hitting it thin because you're doing this in your next session, or let me watch you hit a few. And the more golf you play and the more you circulate yourself around like really good players and players that really care about you, you'll get tons and tons of advice. And it's not that it's bad advice. It's just, is it the right fit for you at this time? And it might be. But because it comes so easy, so frequently, right? If you're one of those that's playing every single day and you're playing with buddies, you're playing with, good players, or you might just be playing with random people, right? And you're playing every single day or several times a week, even on the golf course, you'll get tons of comments saying like, oh my gosh, you're such a great player. You hit the ball so good. This is something that I think you should do, right? And out of respect to people like taking the time to give us advice, we don't want to disrespect them, and we say, okay, let me go ahead and try this, and I'll do what you're telling me. And all of a sudden, like, you might be in a season and you're playing lots of golf, and all of a sudden you go through 7 days in a row of practice and you have 7 different, tool strategies or ideas running through your head, because every day somebody that you respect, somebody that's telling you you should do this, and then you start to do it. And because we never like to disappoint people, and we, nobody's giving us information saying like, today I'm going to give you this piece of information and I'm trying to make you worse, right? Everybody has the best intentions of making you like the very best that you can be. Nobody ever has, well, I don't want to say ever, but typically no one ever has that intention to just say, I'm going to give you this piece of advice to like really mess you up today and make it so you can't return. So everybody has the best intentions, and just learning how to deal with that and kind of take the advice, learn the advice, right? Because everything that we hear is really, really good stuff. And it's just a matter of like, when is it going to be good for me? And some of the stuff that we'll talk about this evening is how to organize all of this stuff and all of the advice that we've kind of accumulated over the years. And some of the stuff that for me, like that I heard as a junior golfer, as a college golfer, and, even last 11 years or so, 12 years that I've been teaching and working on my own game, like some of the stuff that I've heard from years ago, like are finally like connecting to me today. That, oh, that's what that person meant. And now it's the perfect time. And I'm able to extract these bits and pieces of information. And it makes so much more sense in the part of the game or the cycle of my skill set of my golf game that I have like today. So it's not that we never want to learn stuff. It's like we're always learning, and we're always like pulling stuff in, and we're just holding it like in the bank and just saying like, when is it best going to serve me? And that's when we're going to be able to extract it and use it to the best that we can. And I'll share with you like just kind of how all of this information might work and how some scenarios might work. So for instance, I had a student come out today, and I've been working with him from some time now, and we don't work on too many different things. A lot of things, it's pretty redundant every single week, and he's 9 years old, and he's a really good player, plays as many junior events as he can, and he does place pretty high most of the time. Depending on the week, he's gone from, winning local and national events at 9 to, not playing as well as he wants to and coming on the bottom part. And it's always striving, like he, at 9 years old, like if you ask him, he wants to be on the PGA Tour, right? And so he has these big dreams of what he wants to achieve. Yet the stuff that we work on are so, and I guess we'll call it like basic and fundamental, that there's not much stuff going on, but it's just getting more clarity around that one thing that he needs to work on that's going to impact his game the most. And so he came out today, and, he played his last few events and he couldn't hit his driver. And, he said, man, my driver keeps on going out to the right. His dad came up to me and said, yeah, he's losing it to the right, and he's giving up all this distance from what he had. And he's on the smaller side. So for him to keep up in the field that he's playing, he's got to gain that yardage back. And, the first thing I ask him is like, what is it that you're trying to do? And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to, get the ball to curve to the left. And he's a right-handed golfer. So I'm trying to get it to draw to the left, or even like bend a lot, hit it high and make it curve to the left. And I said, how are you going to do that? And he's telling me the exact process of what I want to do. And, for him, he's saying like, I want to make sure I hit the ball on this direction on my swing and make sure the club face does this to create the shot. And like, he has it to the tee and he totally understands it, but he's saying like, keep on doing it. And I know I'm doing it, but the ball keeps on leaking to the right. And, and he's looking for like, what else can I do? Because whatever I'm doing, he said, is not working. And I said, we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're arguing, but, we're kind of going back and forth. And I said, like, how do you know you're doing it? And he's like, well, I can feel it. Like my hands are doing this, I'm swinging it this way, and my ball still does this. And so he's looking at searching for like, what can I do that's a little bit different than what I've been doing over and over for the last, 2 weeks or week and a half, and getting the same result of the ball like leaking slightly to the right. And as frustrating as it is, right, it's so much easier to just say, what can I do next? I'm doing it, and it's not coming out. I just need something new. And for him, just understanding that he understands it, but because his ball's not doing what it's supposed to do, like I already know that he understands it, but he's not applying it. And as simple as it was to kind of just build a little environment just to show him like, well, this is like your target line. And I built a little fence on the side and on the left side, make sure your ball doesn't go across this fence. And now do this exact same drill or the exact same, tool and strategy that we've been, working on for the last, year or so. I'm shaping your ball flight that way. And just having him visually see something a little bit different. He works on the exact same mechanic tool that he had and strategy of how to build that shot. And within 2 shots, he has the ball moving right to left. So, a lot of times we take these drills and tools and we kind of run with it. We get really good results. And all of a sudden it wears off because we don't fully understand like, what is it that this tool, strategy, or drill is supposed to give me in the big picture, and we don't fully understand like what is making your ball do what it does. And so we need to get a really good understanding, because the moment he understood like, oh, even though I felt this, my ball was still, going in this direction relative to like this environment that we set up. So we would do, or within 2 shots, he looked at it, it's like, oh, I see. And he just did it and made it do what he wanted to do. Right. So it's not that we need a different tool or a drill. It's a lot of times like we know what to do, and it's how do we just structure that thing and make sure we give it the time and make it as effective as possible. So when we do hit levels of skill that tool only takes us to this far, right? We're gonna have to need like new capabilities to make your ball do other stuff or take you to different levels. So, we're gonna go over tonight is how do you just like think about everything that you know and get the best and the most results from what you want to get out of it. As we think about some of, what we hear about practicing all the time, we like some of us think about the 10,000 hour rule. If you've never heard of that, there's a book. Can't remember who wrote that, but basically it's a book that says, and somebody came out with all this research saying that if you want to be an expert in any field or master in any field, you have to put 10,000 hours in that specific thing that you're doing, or in that field that you're doing, to become a full-blown expert. And they go into having your practice being super deliberate so it's effective. You got to out-practice everybody, and that's all like really great, but it also comes down to what we see nowadays, right? We see tons of people achieving so much success by being a lot more strategic with the time, right? Our lives are so busy with so many like different things, with school, academics, family, our social life. Some of us may play multiple sports, right? And it's kind of pulling us everywhere that, we just don't have the time to just commit, depending on where you are in your lifestyle, to go like all in as many hours as a PGA professional, like right now. So you need to be super strategic on like the work that I put in, the effort that I put in. It's not necessarily the time that I put. Yes, time is really good, but the right time and the amount of time makes the biggest difference in the world. Excuse me. With a lot, I'm now watching a ton of interviews and different videos from Kobe Bryant, and it's kind of showing like how he achieved so much, not just in his basketball career, in his business career, in his personal life, but he talks about all the work that he put in. And I remember seeing a video of him saying that how he looked at work, and how he got really good later, in his career, it wasn't like he was always good. He wasn't that good in his early teens, and all of a sudden, I think it was a matter of 2 or 3 years before he became, like, within, I think, 1 year, he became #1 in the state. The year before, like, nobody really knew who he was outside of his little town. And like, he came into thinking that, like, when I practice, if I start my day like everybody else, I'll have 2 sessions a day, basically like a morning session and an evening session. Again, I'm kind of just paraphrasing this. He went into a little bit more detail into when. And he's like, everybody is doing these like morning and take a break to settle down and do these evening sessions. So we get 2 practices a day, and that compounded over time, it gets you really good results. And he's like, man, what if I just woke up earlier than everybody else? And instead of starting my day at, I'm going to kind of make this up because I forget exactly what he said, but instead of starting my day at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. So I can get it like a actual morning session, take my little break, and then take the other morning session that everybody else is doing, take my break, do what I need to do, and then do my evening session. So now instead of doing, 2 a day for as long as it takes all the way through his NBA career, it's like, I'm going to get this extra session before everybody else, but in the moment and the time that everybody else doesn't want to do it, because that may not show me the results that I want to get like this week. But if I compound that over the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years, my entire career, then nobody's going to be able to catch me with their work. And as amazing as that sounds, right, we can just put in the work and get there. The one key thing that I think is missing in that is he goes into every session knowing exactly what he wants to get out of it, exactly, like, it's to the minute of what he's going to be doing. And so it's never just showing up and doing it. It's breaking out these sessions that I got to work a lot more, but he never leaves it to chance, and he never leaves it to just, I'm going to spend time doing what I'm doing and hope it goes good. It's like, my outcome in the morning is to achieve this. And, he's going to work on it to achieve it and do whatever it takes to get that result. And then, his second session, everything's planned out, and it kind of even goes into like what he did after his basketball career, and when he became a successful business person, and hearing people trying to get in the door to interview him. And this one guy who interviewed him mentioned that he was going to do anything it takes to get like Kobe on his podcast. And like, he called the guy, or called his manager to say, like, can I get in the door with him? And basically they said, Kobe's next availability, he wants to get interviewed by you, but his next availability is like 3 months out. And so he thought to himself that, man, if we schedule this thing 3 months out, there's something guaranteed for sure that's going to be more important, and I'm going to get bumped, and I'm not going to get that interview. So instead he said, like, well, I'm going to go and do whatever it takes to get this interview. And he said, like, make it happen. And, I live in LA, so if you can make it happen tomorrow, I will go around his time to make it happen. And I just need, X amount, whether it was like 20 or 30 minutes to be filmed. And so they said, okay. He said, okay, we'll get it in tomorrow. But you have to come in this window. And it was some odd window between, like, I don't know if it was like 6 a.m. to 6:22 or whatever it was, but it was to the minute. And he said he gets there, the whole building is closed down. It's all dark, and they're turning off the lights. And he's thinking, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting here first, and they're opening everything. And he's in there, like, he walks past the room and he sees Kobe, like, in a room that's dark, that he's like looking at his notebook, like doing something. He's doing some kind of work. And, he asks, like, did he get here earlier than me? Or like, how long was he here? And he's like, oh, he gets here before everybody. And he took basically that same work ethic principles and like brought him to business. He's in the office, the very first person, because he's getting things done. And they said he's there from, typically 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning, whatever it is. And he kind of hangs out in their room, kind of plans his whole day. And as the day's going, like, every single block of time after, like, is booked with other meetings. As that gentleman that was interviewing him got there, other people were getting in as well, because right after that he had another meeting or interview, another one. It kind of goes out through the whole day, which means, you know, he's putting in the work, but the actual work comes in the planning and what it is that he wants to get out of the day. And so even though he's outworking everybody else, it's so deliberate and so strategic of how he's placing his time. And that's, you know, that's why he has, and he's gotten the success that he has over his career. So, you know, going into, you know, things that you already know and getting the result is, you just have to be super clear on what you want to get, and be not just put in the time. The actual work comes from designing like what it is that you need to get out of the time that you're spending. And so as we go into this little model, as you can see here, it's going to help you get a lot more clear on like the things that you know, so you can extract, you know, the very important things that you want to get. Excuse me. So like anything, to get the results that you want, we always start off having like a really clear picture on what is it that we want, right? The more clear, the better. It's going to direct you down to what you're going to be doing. And a lot of times we're always searching for the next drill or the next thing to give us the result, because we're not really crystal clear on like, what is the result that I want, right? And even if you kind of know the result that you want, let's say your result is, I want to shoot 72, I want to shoot 36. That's as far as we go. We're not as far clear on like, for me to shoot 72 or 36, what else do I need, right? What other skill do I need? So as we kind of funnel this thing down, if I want to shoot 72, I want to shoot 36, I want to win a golf tournament, you know, I want to be the #1 player and drive my high school, my college team, whatever it is, this is like the ultimate result. But what other clear skills do you need to then drive that result? So as we understand, like, what is the result that we want, we might filter it down into, I just got to be hitting it way more solid so I get the distance. When I say way more solid, I got to be hitting it flush on the club face, center of the face, you know, off the ground, 90 to 95% of the time. And if I do that, my ball is going to be traveling, you know, this kind of distance. So getting super clear, like specifically, like, yes, I want to get broad outcomes like 72, win golf tournaments and do this. We got to specifically know what's the skill, what's the actual result and the skill result that I need to get me there. What is like the next biggest component that's going to get me to the level that I want to get to? Whether it's, like I said, ball striking, maybe I got to be able to putt and get the ball in the hole in X amount of strokes from, you know, this 30 feet in, 20 feet in, and the stuff that you measure. So the more clear you get with that, the better. Oftentimes you just say, I want to hit it better. And when we go out to hit it better, what happens? We give that vague practice, and we may spend a lot of time there. We may spend hours every single day, hour a day, swing it at home and just say, I'm going to practice this to hit it better. And the type of practice you put in is just the, I'm going to hit it better practice, as opposed to, I want to hit it perfectly on the club face, in the center, ball first, hit it solid. And what's going to get me there is, and the way, or not what's going to get me there, but what feedback that's going to let me know I'm doing is, one, I'm going to be hitting balls. Two, if I'm not hitting balls, I'm practicing at home, I'm practicing somewhere else because I couldn't make it to a practice facility. Or what is the other feedback that I'm going to get so I know that I'm accomplishing the task and getting the result that I want? So we can go super deep in like, how am I measuring the result that I'm getting once I know what it is? And so, you know, once we know the result, and we'll kind of go with, I want to strike the ball better and hit it solid on the club face 90% of the times. We'll then look at what tools and strategies do I have in place that I currently know. And so now you can go recall back in your bank and say, well, I may have one called the impact drill. I may have one called the line drill. I may have one called the accelerator drill, the punisher drill. And you may even have specific like strategies on like, I remember this person or this coach told me when I do the impact drill, I got to make sure I do it this many times and check for this much success, check my form, and have specific strategies on, you know, what to do. But what we need is just like, we need to just see it so clear. Like, if my result is to hit it solid, what tools and strategies do I have? And, you know, we're just going to list everything that we have. So now we have this list of everything that we have in the bank that says, you know, these are the tools and strategies that I know to get me the result, striking it more solid. If I strike it more solid, the ball goes, you know, straighter than it does, goes further than it does, puts shorter clubs in my hand, which lowers my score, gets me the biggest step closer to shooting my 36 or 72 that I'm, you know, that my ultimate result is. And me shooting 36, 72 all the time takes me to the next level and allows me to be, you know, at least skill wise, the person that's going to drive my varsity high school team, or is the person that's going to, or the skill set that is going to let me drive my college team, whatever that, you know, ultimate result is. So a lot of times we're kind of just thinking everything in our head and just saying like, well, I remember this last time I got to do this, and we work on this one drill. And then tomorrow's like, well, I don't know how well that went. Let me try the next one. And you start going down the next one, and all of a sudden, you know, a month goes by, and you're kind of revolving around everything, and you just don't even know like what one is working, what one is making you worse. So see it clearly so you can know. You need to know which one is going to serve you the best. As we go into once you have all the tools, right? We'll have a big list. We're going to say, you know, you have to describe each of the tools. So maybe we'll have a list, and we'll just kind of use this, right? We'll have a list of 6 major tools to get me to hit it better. And again, I'll make some of these up, but we'll say like, we have the Punisher drill, we have the impact drill, we have the acceleration drill, we have the, you know, hit it solid drill, and you kind of go all the way down, but we just see what they are. And a lot of times we just assume that if I do the drill, it's going to get me the result that I want, right? But we don't fully understand like what exactly does that tool or strategy do towards getting me the result, right? We just think that if I do it, it works. And if I do it, I'm doing the work. Well, a lot of the work comes so much in like these little fine details of things that we assume we know, but we're not that clear on. So I'll make some of these things up, but let's say like it's the Punisher drill. When I do the Punisher drill, it allows me to hit it solid because it causes the club to do, you know, A, B, C, whatever it causes the club to do. If I understand what the club's doing, right, then it allows me to understand, is it actually getting me to hit the ball solid, or am I just like doing it, hoping it's going to be good? So that way you can make it so much more deliberate about, you know, getting that drill to create the result, not just doing it, hoping for the result. You're going to do the drill, doing specifically what that thing drives the result to do, right? If I'm doing the, you know, impact drill, right? What is the impact doing to the club head? What is it doing to my body? How is me doing that drill or tool or strategy going to allow me to hit the ball more solid 90% of the time? And so if you understand, like we have all these tools, and you know that tool 1 does this, tool 2 does this, tool 3 does this, tool 4 does this, 5 does this, all the way down. And you basically have this training booklet that you've learned over the course of, you know, your career. And now you can see like, wow, I'm currently hitting it like this. I'm hitting a little bit behind, or I'm hitting a little bit on the toe or on the heel, wherever it might be, a little thin, whatever that might be. And then you'll kind of look through this tool and strategy guide saying, well, the one that fits the result I'm trying to achieve from where I'm at today is going to be tool number 5. So now I know this tool is going to be the best to get me the result that I want. And so now you're super strategic on like the specific tool that you're using to get you the result that you're using. And if you know how that tool and strategy works to get you the result, then you'll go so much further beyond like, I practiced it for an hour and it didn't work. You could now say, I practiced for an hour, it got me to do this, but I'm still this far away from hitting it solid. So when I practice for my next 30 minutes, my next week, my next 5 hours, it's going to get me this much closer and closer to exactly where I want to get to. as we go down is step number 4 is, it's get perspective on your training. This is probably one of the biggest keys that allows us to forget where we currently are and where we need to get to, because a lot of times we're like, I'm practicing a lot, right? I'm on a team right now, and we practice 5 days a week, and we're there for 2.5 hours. So 2.5 times 5, I'm this many hours a week for the last 3 months, and I'm still like plateauing, and I'm not getting any better. And the reality is we just got to get perspective, meaning we got to know exactly like where we're standing now, so we can say like, how much real time am I putting in this? And as you're practicing, it's easy to say, and it's easy to look at, like, to see how deliberate and how meaningful your practice was just by the amount of golf balls you hit, right? We could hit 1,000 golf balls in the week, but if you look back and say, out of those 1,000 golf balls, only 100 of those balls, I was actually super deliberate in thinking like this drill I was doing was actually doing this to get me to hit the result, right? Which means 100 golf balls gets you to see, like, in a week I hit 100 golf balls only to get me closer to the result. How much closer would that 100 golf balls get me, right? The 1,000 golf balls that you hit is only meaningful if you're learning from every single shot that you're hitting, right? Maybe we'll hit a day and we'll hit 100 golf balls in a day. Working on ball striking, you can easily go back and say, I hit 100 golf balls today. I warmed up for the first 15 golf balls with like half swings just to loosen up my body, right? And you would look back. Was I trying to hit it solid in that warm up and implementing some of like the drills to hit it solid in my warm up, or did I just loosen up? Because if you're just loosening up and just banging a couple balls to loosen up, zero deliberate action into hitting it good, which means those 15 balls don't count towards getting you closer to the result. And then you might say, well, then I worked on the drill for the next 20 golf balls, and I hit the first 5, like really thinking about it, and I hit it good. So then I hit the next 15, like without mindlessly thinking about it, because I put it on autopilot and started going. Then you'll kind of look, well, how meaningful was the last 15? It was 0, because you put it autopilot and you weren't even thinking about it. So you got 5 balls out of the 15 of productivity to actually go towards the result, right? And you say like, well, the next 15 or 20 balls I hit driver, right? And I was hitting it good. So how much closer was the stuff that you're working with driver? You're trying to hit it off the ground good. That probably had almost 0 effect of you hitting it from the ground solid. So those 10, 15, 20 shots are out the door from you actually getting the result to hitting it off the ground. But so as we kind of compound that thing, look at the 100 balls, and maybe you'll find 10 balls out of those 100 balls you may have hit with actual like meaningfulness and strategy and deliberateness to get you the result that you want. And let's say we bring it back into perspective by saying, if I just do 10 productive shots for 5 days a week, would that get me closer to the result? The answer is yes. But you would also ask yourself, how much faster would that get me to the result? Would that make a huge impact if I get, 5 balls a day or 15 balls a day out of the 100 that gets you there? And if I hit 50 for 5 days, how much closer would that get me? And if you look in the big picture, it's not as fast as if you got a higher percent of that balls. So it's actually going back and looking at your practice, how meaningful was all of my practice? Just because I was there showing up for 2.5 hours for practice, so I went there for an hour and a half to practice on my own, it doesn't mean the actual work that you put in got you closer. So always go back and check. One thing that we often do is we often are so focused on, like, I want to get this result, and we're looking like at the top of the hill at like, this is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that I'm always shooting for. I'm looking here, and if the mountain's like this, we're like, this is the pot of gold, or the treasure at the top, and we're always going up and we're going up when we're thinking about it. And sometimes we're like moving these small little gains, but we get caught up on still seeing how far away we are, and we think we're not moving. And also getting perspective is just looking like backwards back down the hill. Where was I last week? Where was I a month ago working on the stuff that I was doing? Because once you look backwards and you look, back, you'll be able to see, oh man, where I was, a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago. Man, I'm doing stuff that I couldn't do back then that I'm doing without even really, thinking about it. I kind of acquired these skills already. And just you pausing and stopping for a second to get perspective on how far up the hill you came from when you started allows you to gain that momentum, gain that confidence and certainty that, yes, the work that I'm putting in is getting me up. Maybe it's not getting as fast as I'm thinking, but it sure has got me a lot since 6 months ago. It got me a lot since, even last week. Got me further from even yesterday. Yesterday, I was thinking these crazy things. And today, I hit it similar, but I was able where it wasn't able to, bother me so much so I could move on from more of those shots. I couldn't do that yesterday, and I can do that today. So you're seeing perspective. Always know perspective on where you're at and getting clarity on the direction that you're moving, because that is the number one confidence killer to say that, this isn't working. These tools don't work. I got to go see a new coach. I got to go get more YouTube advice. I got to go check all these videos. And then you start going this mindless loop of finding every bit of piece of information and just kind of understanding what they're saying, what the drill is, but not really getting a full conceptual knowledge that this is what it's doing. And when I apply it, it does this, right? At the end of the day, what makes these tools, strategies, and drills work is not just understanding how they work, but your connection to the application. If I know this line drill does this and I actually applied it and I got success doing it. The line drill did this today and I got success twice, right? The next day, line drill was this, success 10 times, right? And every time you match up, what and actually doing it, it gives you that level of confidence. And then all of a sudden you start doing it more, right? It's the most frustrating part comes from when, we say, I know how to do it, but I'm not doing it. I know how to do it, not doing it. Know it and don't do it, right? And that only lasts a few times before you say it doesn't work. But if we look on the bright side and say I know what to do and I did it once, right? You found success. Did it again, did it twice. And you're always trying to say, how do I master these tools and strategies? The only way to master them is, understand them and then apply them. Understand them and apply them, right? We often look for too much understanding and too much concept, too much theories, too many drills without ever applying the first one. So find a perspective, know what you want, how you're going moving forward. Always look backwards to see how much further have I come to keep you committed to the tools and strategies that you already know. Excuse me. As we go down, right, once you kind of get it moving, you want to go all into your top 3, right? If you don't understand and you're not able to get full perspective on the type of training that you're doing, right, there's no ways you'll go all in to even one. And I say top 3 is because if you just pick your top 1, right, sometimes, ideally top 1, yes, go all in and go, but we also got to consider ourselves getting bored with doing the same thing. So if we have the top 3 that makes the biggest impact in the result that we're trying to get, where we can then design things where I'm going to work on this drill for this long, where I'm super deliberate in the first 15 minutes of this drill. Then when I break, right, I'm going to do this other one that complements this one, and I can be super disciplined here. And then in the next 15 minutes, I'll be super disciplined in this one, as opposed to discipline in one, take a break. Discipline the same thing, take a break. Discipline the same thing, and you're just doing the same thing. And all of a sudden, you kind of just get bored, and everything just kind of gets flat, and you're not able to get excited about it because just the same thing, and you get yourself in that thinking of, well, I already know how to do it because I've done it so many times, and then your practice just starts and your training just starts to like funnel down, because now the type of work that you're putting in, the type of practice is not as meaningful as it should. So your top three, it just adds a little bit of variety to it, but your top three should all work together to complement each other to get you the result. It's not like I'm going to use, strategy number one that does this, strategy number two that maybe gets me to hit it solid, but it gets me to hit it to solid when I'm only hitting thin shots, whereas now I'm struggling with fat shots. Right. So you want, if you're hitting it, I'll make this up again just to kind of give you a pattern here, but let's say I'm hitting it all fat. So you'll look at the top three tools that gets you to hit it solid 90% of the time, 95% of the time, that allows you to hit it solid from fat being the most major missed shot. So, this one fixes the fat shot because it does this. Perfect. That's one. This one does thin shots, or this one does toe shots. That's kind of out. This one does fat shots. There's another one, right? And you're looking, if you have that description of what they do, now it's easy for you to select that. These are my top three, and I'm going to commit and go all into these top three tools and strategies that I have. And, lastly, once you kind of have design and see all of this, our last part is like create your 7-day jump start. Right. Sometimes we need some kind of immersion. We need something to just kind of get you moving really quickly, really fast. So, when you look back at the end of the week, it's, oh man, in 7 days, I got this far. And you can all make huge progress, huge jumps in just 7 days. Yes, we do want to create longevity. We do want to be able to maintain it, but 7 days will not burn you out. I don't care who you are. But, if you're doing too much over a long period of time, let's say we create this immersion thing that you do like everything for 7 days. And if you have a busy lifestyle, maybe holding on to something like this may not last you for 3 months, and you try to do it for 3 months, and all of a sudden you get bored, you get burnt out because it's too much and it takes away too much. But everybody has 7 days that they can get themselves to go, I'm going to commit to this, and I'm going to do everything I can to get the biggest boost towards the outcome that I want. And so it all comes down to planning, knowing in advance over the next 7 days, starting, tomorrow in my schedule, what does it look like tomorrow, the next day, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. And I'm just creating like a schedule, getting it down on a piece of paper and seeing what does my Monday through Sunday look like for this upcoming week. And you start plugging in all the things that you're committed to. And then you also put notes on each of the days, or maybe just something on the top that just says, these are some of the obstacles that may come into place. And you anticipate the things that could go wrong, right? I may not have a ride. Looks like I have a test on this day, so I may not be as prepared. So I may have to study more on this day, right? Or, the weather looks bad this week. It looks like it's going to rain a couple of these days, right? So kind of anticipate what's going to come. So when these things come up, it's not, oh my gosh, I messed up my whole plan, or you have the most anticipation on like, oh, it's going to rain today. Good thing I knew and I prepared for bad weather, because now I can do something at home. I can practice at home and I can still have this block of time. You could be going and like, oh man, I thought I was going to have a ride this week, and it turns out, my ride got busy or something happened, whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, I anticipated like a couple days that I may not have transportation, because that's typically what might happen during the week. It happens frequently, and yes, right? And I'm still at home. I can find something to do at home, right? And you have it pre-designed, so you're not saying, oh my gosh, my schedule's all messed up and now I can't stick to the plan, right? We always plan around things that could happen. That way, when they do come up, you have something designed. What I mean by this is, if you don't have a home training program already designed, right, that has increments of something that you can do for this 5 minutes every day, something that's a little bit more intensive that you can spend in like 15-minute blocks of focus and deliberate practice, that you could have a number of things to do at home, right? You don't have to be at a golf course, at a driving range to get the results that you want, right? It's nice to be able to hit balls outdoors and actually hit golf balls, but sometimes, we just don't have that luxury of making it there that week. So don't let inconveniences and things that come in the way like derail like the plan. So, have things that, yes, at the golf course, I have these broken down if I go here. Have things that if something comes up and I can do it at home, I have these 5-minute windows that I can jump into and get super productive in 5 minutes. And I can fit that in 3, 4, 5 times a day, or maybe just once a day. Or I have these 15-minute like sequences that I can do out in the yard. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. And, so forth. So create your 7-day jump start, and you're looking at the next 7 days, like how much can I get in the 7-day window, as much as I can, and you're just making it work. Whether it's, I know I can go for the next 4 days to the golf course this week out of the 7 days, and I can spend 2 to 3 hours there, and we'll write those in there. What am I going to be doing for the 2 to 3 hours in those 4 days, right? And you kind of design them in all these blocks, and you should be designing them in 10 to 15-minute blocks at a time, right? If you just say for the hour I'm going to hit golf balls, not good enough. You would say in the hour I'm going to be in the range. The first 15 minutes I'm hitting the balls like this. The next 15 minutes I'm hitting it like this. The next 15 minutes I'm hitting it like this, right? And those like this is the tools and strategies that you put in, that you already designed. Right. And the other 3 days, I will have an hour a day, but I don't have an hour block, but maybe I have 30-minute windows here, 30-minute windows here. What can I do in that 30 minutes for my home practice? Pop that thing in there, pop that thing in here. Right. And then you just fill in as much as you possibly can in the next 7 days, because what you're looking for is, what can I do to get to the result that I want the very fastest, right? Even if you're overdoing it, and you're over pushing yourself, right? You know your limits, but we can do everything for 7 days. You'll balance out like all the other activities that you have, right? If you have work, you have school, you have, any kind of other extracurricular activities, other sports, you'll already know and plug that stuff in there. But just get yourself a jump start. So, yes, these tools, these strategies, they do work. I just got to commit myself to applying what they do, seeing how they affect me, maybe making little tweaks and subtle adjustments over, like, I like this impact drill, but it works better when I do it in this situation or with this club or like this, right? And then you're taking these notes, because now you're just taking the one strategy or tool or drill that you have, and you're just making it better than what it is. You're making it custom to fit what you have. So, go back and, figure out, starting tomorrow, right? The next 7 days, what's the biggest result that you want to get, right? And think about how you're going to get there, and create your 7-day jump start already, right? And your like anytime we talk about planning, your planning doesn't start from like day one. It starts from the day before, because you have to prep, right? So if you're starting tomorrow, your day is going to start right now, tonight. If I'm going to start tomorrow, this is what I have to prepare tonight, so I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I know what I'm doing on day 2, day 3, day 4, right? And every single day, the day before, is you're prepping for any kind of adjustments that needs to be made on the next day. So as you get through all of this stuff and you start building it out, the most common mistake that we have with anything we do, and I get caught doing this all the time in certain golf strategies and tools that I'm working on. Excuse me. Other areas of my life that it sounds so simple, it sounds so easy. I mean, we always think that if it's super complex and hard to understand, and I got to do so much work, it's going to be better. But a lot of times it's the little simple things that's so intuitive in our head, that's so like easy to remember, that we hear over and over again. It's those things that we got to pay the most attention to, because those are the things that we overlook most of the time. So the most common mistake is always thinking that I already know how to do this. I know the result that I want. I just want to do this. I want to shoot 72. I got to hit the ball better. It's got to go straight. It's got to go between this window. I know my top 3 tool strategies, drills. I can do the line drill, the power drill, or the whatever drill those 3 are. And yeah, I know what those tools do. This one does this, this, this. I know how much I'm practicing. So far, my practice hasn't been good. It's been 30% productive out of the, hour sessions that I've been going. And yes, those 3 tools, I know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start tomorrow. And I'm going to show up, and I know I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, then I'm going to do it again. And what happens is, because there's so much detail in every level of this frame here, that your mind just can't process everything at once. It has to separate. So, if you think you can do it in your head, you're going to stay in the same boat, because you're always, one, not going to be getting the right perspective. You aren't going to be seeing it in front of you. And 2, you might be mistaking some of the tools, and you might be missing on some of the better tools that get you to the result. And it's easier to derail yourself, because if you're not writing them all down, if you're not like putting them on paper, if you're not putting it in your journal, you're not putting it in a place that you can visually see it every single day, this is what I need to do, you're going to miss little bits and pieces of each step, which then is going to transfer into not the result I want, not fast enough, I need something new. And you kind of start it all over again. The other common mistake we might make with tools and frames like this is we are not as truthful to ourselves, because one, we're doing it in our head, but we're not seeing the reality behind like the result or the performance that we're getting up to date, right? We might be saying, I think I know these tools, or I think I feel like I'm practicing super hard. I feel like I'm putting all the time, and I'm actually putting in 100%, and it's everything. But the reality is, like, if you sit down and just look at yourself and think about it, am I really putting in the most of what I can give in that moment? Or was I practicing, and as somebody talked to me, I started talking over here, come back and hit, talk over there, come back. Or as I'm hitting, I'm checking my phone rings, I'm looking at it. Or, I was hitting a few and I kind of got frustrated, so I just hit a few more again, got frustrated, hit a few more, and I was just thinking, I'm just going to put in the time and break through it, without actually like being clear on like, this is where I'm at, settling down. I'm going to change the direction and change the path to get a little bit different result, right? So sometimes we just don't see the reality behind the type of training that we're putting in, or the performance that we're doing. Or we go and play on the golf course and we're like, I normally don't miss chip it like that, or I normally don't slice it like this, or normally don't miss hit it, and today was the day. And we kind of chalk that up as just that day. And then the next time we go and play, it's like the same thing happens, or something very similar happens, and we say, 2 days in a row, it's just something, I wasn't feeling that good, or I was sick, or giving yourself all these excuses or stories to have you rationalize with the real performance that you have versus the one that you want, or you're thinking that you have. So sometimes it just comes into like, you got to sit down and say like, this is where I'm at today. Like my last few rounds, my last few practice sessions, like I hit it like this. I felt like this. It was frustrating. This is what made me excited. All right, kind of like just list that stuff down, so you know that this is how I'm going to get myself from where I'm at to where I want to get to. And as we mentioned earlier, is another common mistake is like taking stuff like this and getting super excited and just like working your way towards the top of the mountain at the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, saying like, I'm focusing on this. Yes, I want this. I want this. I want this. And never looking like backwards to see like what you've achieved. So, stuff like this, what you want to constantly do is you have to like write this stuff down. You have to like get your thoughts out of your head, get into a notebook, get into a sheet of paper so you can reflect back in the future or reflect back to the past. Once you've got it, like, oh, this is where it was a week ago. I wrote it all down. This is how I felt. This is the success I had. This is the progression that I'm making. So when you look backwards, it's not like, oh, it felt like I did better. It's like, no, I see like 1 week ago, like this is what I wrote down. This is this success I had. This is the, you know, the frustration that I got. This is, you know, the amount of times I could hit it solid out of 10 balls, out of 100 balls. And today I achieved this. Even though it didn't feel that great, this is my performance today. Why did I not feel that great? What caused me frustration? What got me success? What got me to feel good this time, right? And you're always looking at that stuff. So, you know, if you don't already have a journal, you want to always have a journal that you can get your thoughts out on paper and get it off of your head, because anytime you start stacking everything in, right, then we start thinking about like, we start blending in things from, you know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, yesterday, and they all start kind of like blending into like one little story, and you can't separate, you know, what's real versus what's not. So going from here tonight, as we talked about, you want to get on your 7-day jump start. So whenever we're starting day one, your day one always starts with the day before. So the number one thing that you can do going forward after this call tonight is, you know, grab your journals, grab your sheet of paper, grab something to write on, and create like, what is the result that you want? Come up with the tools that is going to feed you to the result. Describe them, get a perspective on where you're at right now, go all in on those top 3, right? Meaning, how are you going to structure those practices for your 7-day jumpstart? That's how you go all in, right? You're placing all of these top 3 tools and strategies, drills in your frame of how you're going to practice for your 7-day jumpstart. Since we're all on here, I do want to give you one bonus. Your one bonus is going to be, in addition to this, a bonus is going to be create a team or partner. So, bonus, create a team or partner to go on this journey with. Because the power of team, the power of a partner, the power of your ability to keep each other accountable for the things that you promise yourself that you're going to do, the ability to have a partner, a team member, somebody else tell you it's okay that it's frustrating. This is some tools that I know that's going to get you out of this mood. A partner, a team, somebody for you to share some of the successes. Oh my gosh, today was amazing. I did this. I hit the ball so far. The ball did exactly what I wanted to do. And then you start sharing how you got there, right? Every time you share your success, it takes you one level up to starting to master those skills, because it's getting you to think back at, how did I achieve that success? What little small things did I do? What shifts did I make to actually get there, right? Was it just doing the tool, the strategy, drill, or was it the thing that the mind shift that I had, or the little tweak to that I really wasn't thinking about at that moment, right? And your ability to share and teach others makes you just get a much greater understanding of the thing that you're trying to get, right? So create a team, get a partner, and go all in with them. So that is my training for this evening. You know, I thank you guys all for joining.